you all very much for being here today. Mayor Eric Garcetti together here with Chief Mike Moore, Councilmember David Rue, to the community members first and foremost who live here. This is a community I lived in for many, many years, and my wife and I shopped almost weekly here at this Trader Joe's, and our hearts go out to everybody who has been traumatized. Of course, most importantly, those
Scott, it's on Channel 2 like it always is.
And those customers of the Trader Joe's that have gone through the last few hours. The chief is going to go into a little greater detail of some of the events that led up to what happened here in Silver Lake, but I'll give you some broad strokes and say a couple other words. First and foremost, this started about 1:30 in Newton Division. Shooting occurred where the suspect...
It is on Channel 2. Channel 2 like it always is.
Thankfully, we can confirm in custody, in the hands of LAPD and being treated by the fire department. I'll give you more details about that in a moment. But shot his argument, as we understand, and shot his grandmother multiple times, we think as many as 7 times. Another woman who was there also sustained some wound either then or gunfire wound, or later on as he pulled her into his grandmother's car. LAPD was able to follow that car using technology with LoJack. That car came through Hollywood Division. He fired at police officers and blew out the back of his car window, as I understand, on the borderline of Hollywood and Northeast Division. And then, again, the officers that were in pursuit were able to follow him to here, and then he crashed right next to the Trader Joe's. It was there where there was exchange of gunfire. The suspect was wounded in his left arm, and he went inside. I regret to inform you that there is one fatality that occurred inside of a woman. We will have details forthcoming, but of course family notification and trying to figure out more details. We don't have anything more than that, but she was pulled out by the police department from the store. Fire department was able to take her, treat her on site, but she was pronounced here on site. Throughout this, LAPD has done an extraordinary job, and I want to thank them and our fire department. The heroism that was shown today was second to none. And the teams that were able to respond, secure the perimeter, and engage in conversation with the suspect, no doubt saved lives today. He did answer his phone. He was in regular communication with Los Angeles Police Department. Won't go into any great details, but there were hostages both released and saved by LAPD throughout the last couple hours. We believe there was about 40 to 50 people that were left there initially, and there was a slow but steady stream of them, either those who had hid inside the Trader Joe's and were helped out by LAPD getting in there and saving them, or whether it was the suspect himself releasing some of the individuals that were in there as well. Most importantly for families right now that are wondering about their loved ones, we have set up the Family Reunification Center at the Northeast Division of the Los Angeles Police Department. That is on San Fernando Road, and there are folks there able to answer this phone number so that you can be reunified with your loved ones. There are no other fatalities to announce. The number that you can call is 323-561-3211. One more time, that's 323-561-3211. The suspect at the end asked for handcuffs. He handcuffed himself and then released himself into the custody of LAPD. As I mentioned, LAFD, our fire department, is under LAPD's careful eye treating the suspect's wounds. We also have the mayor's crisis response team on site, and we're calling in backup to that to help folks who have been traumatized by the experience. We know there were children that were in there, employees and others, and so that is on site, and they are at Northeast, or being transported over to Northeast Division, where family reunification can occur and where they can get the counseling that they need, and we will be with them. One last note, this is an ongoing investigation, and this area will probably be, that investigation will take maybe 12 to 14 hours as a guesstimate right now, which means this area will be closed down while the investigation of multiple matters in this can run its course. Obviously, the store will remain closed as well for tonight, and we'll let Trader Joe's announce its plans moving forward. But the last thing I want to say is just a big thank you to the incredible bravery that was demonstrated by the men and women who responded to this. From our first responders, I want to thank especially to Councilmember David Rue for being here and being on site. And let me now turn it over to, I'll say some words in Spanish at the end, but let me turn it over to our chief, Mike Moore, for some more detail. Mike?
Mayor, thank you. So let me begin my remarks by stating that, as the mayor indicated, I'll provide some additional details, but we are very early in this investigation, and so the level of detail is going to be, I'm sure, something short of what you would ask for. We'll take some questions at the end as well, but let me stress that what I'm about to provide you is our understanding as we stand here at this moment. At about 1:30 today, as the mayor indicated, there was a shooting on 32nd Street in the Newton area of South Los Angeles. It involved this individual, this male, black. He is approximately 28 years of age, and he shot his grandmother multiple times. In the course of that attack, a young woman was also injured, and he forcibly took her from that residence and drug her to a vehicle and then left the scene. Our ability to identify him and also the vehicle that was stolen allowed us, using LoJack technology, to locate that vehicle in the Hollywood area. Uniformed officers from Hollywood Patrol attempted to stop that vehicle, and a pursuit ensued. During the course of that pursuit, the gunman inside the suspect fired on our officers multiple times, and ultimately, as the mayor indicated, crashed here, or his vehicle stopped here at the Trader Joe's business here on Hyperion. At that point, and there's this crime scene extends well beyond the Trader Joe's itself. There's arm, and he went into the store. Inside the store, a young woman was shot and killed. Our officers rescued that woman from inside and attempted to render aid with the assistance of LA Fire, and unfortunately were unable to revive her. Her identity has not yet been confirmed, and so we are not going to be able to provide you any further information about her. Once inside the store, the gunman, still armed with a handgun, took numerous victims of citizens as well as store employees hostage and held them against their will. Over the next 3 hours, efforts by the Los Angeles Police Department, the Los Angeles SWAT, members of D-Team as well as Metropolitan officers were able to rescue a number of the customers and store employees from other entry points into that store. Additionally, the gunman released a number of hostages as well, and continued in his remarks with us, and through our crisis negotiation team of SWAT involving a psychologist as well as our tactical members, that dialogue resulted in ultimately him handcuffing himself and coming outside and surrendering to SWAT officers approximately 3 hours after this horrific ordeal began. Where we are at now is efforts to clear the rest of that building, the rest of that store, of any remaining hostages, because there were a number of people that barricaded themselves in different parts of that store to protect themselves from this gunman. We are making sure that we've found everyone that's there, and we're transporting them again to the Northeast Station. The address for that reunification center is 3353 North San Fernando Road. That's 3353 North San Fernando Road. Again, the phone number is 323-561-3211. That's 323-561-3211. Anyone who has a family member or a friend that they believed was at this store Saturday afternoon, 1:30 in the afternoon, when this, or I'm sorry, later, 3:30 in the afternoon when this attack occurred. Obviously, we had 40 people inside, or early estimates. So if you have worries or concerns about anyone's welfare, please call that number. We have police officers there. They'll take your information. We'll also provide whatever information we can, as we are just still identifying those hostages that were inside as we're attempting to get them support and assistance. As the mayor indicated, members of the mayor's crisis response team are on scene, as are members of our behavioral science service section, psychologists that can help begin the process of bringing some counseling and support to these many victims, including, I understand, young children as well as adults. I want to compliment a number of individuals, and yet at the same time, I'm hurting because of the loss of life that we've had in this engagement. I'm thankful that the members of the Los Angeles Police Department, and as well as our members of our fire department, were here and provided such professional skills and tactics, and their efforts have brought this to a successful and peaceful resolution. And that is no easy feat, and was certainly no guarantee. So I want to commend their bravery, and their workings, their coordination together. This was a seamless operation in ensuring that as victims were brought out from that location, that we rendered aid immediately, that we were able to get the fire department in a triage center to make sure that people, if they were injured, that they were given support, and then that we got them shelter as quickly as possible. As was stated earlier, this location will be an active investigation well into the night, and I suspect early tomorrow morning. So this is an investigation that will be led by Robbery Homicide Division, as well as our Force Investigation Division, involving the crimes that began in Newton and that culminated here. We are already working with the District Attorney's Office, as well as the Office of Inspector General, per our normal protocols, to ensure that this is a coordinated investigation into actions of the suspect, as well as the response by LAPD officers. And at this time, what I'd like to do is turn this over to Deputy Chief Hogan from the Fire Department.
Good afternoon, and my comments will be brief. I just want. My name is Armando Hogan, spelled A-R-M-A-N-D-O. Last name Hogan, H-O-G-A-N. I serve as the Deputy Chief of Operations West Bureau with the Los Angeles Fire Department. And as I mentioned, my comments will remain brief. I want to thank the Los Angeles Police Department for the seamless operation as we integrated to make sure in this unified command we provided the most exemplary service that we could. Also like to thank the Mayor's Office and the Honorable Council Member Dave Rue for assisting us and making sure that we did everything we could to spare no expense in terms of a resource to get here to provide service. So want to thank them very much, and most importantly, none of our firefighters or police officers were injured, and this is why we train the way we do, and most importantly, this is your city family coming together to provide service. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, our hearts go out to the family of the deceased. As we have more information and we want to make sure that we, as we make that identification, are able to share that with family first. So thank you to the media for understanding that. And thank you as well to the media for honoring the request to keep cameras off of the store while tactical operations were underway. That was very important to the security of those police officers engaged. En español yo quiero decir también gracias a los departamentos de policía y también de los bomberos por su heroísmo hoy. Esta tragedia desafortunadamente tuvimos un tiroteo a la 1:30 en la división de Newton. Un sospechoso, él disparó a su abuela y él vino aquí a Silver Lake. Fue mucha gente aquí en este mercado de Trader Joe's, pero el trabajo del el Departamento de Policía y Bomberos fue increíble. Desafortunadamente tenemos una víctima muerte, una mujer en la tienda, en el mercado, y no tenemos más información de su identidad ahora, pero cuando tenemos más, nosotros podemos dar a ustedes esta información. Tenemos también recursos por las familias. Si tú tienes un miembro de su familia que fue en esta tienda, hay un número en la división de noreste de LAPD, y este número es 323-561-3211, y hay un centro de reunificación por las familias hasta la locación en San Fernando Road. Muchas gracias. With that, we're happy to answer whatever questions we can.
Grandmother alive?
She is, and she's been in surgery. My understanding is a second round of surgery, critical but alive. Do you have a follow-up on the grandmother question?
Do you know who shot
No information right now. Sorry.
So he made a series of demands. I'm not going to go into the details of what the interchange was, but at all times our hostage negotiators believed that they had established a good rapport with him, a productive one, and one that we believed in balance was an efforting to get a peaceful resolution without unnecessarily jeopardizing the hostages further. So this was an immediate series of conversations back and forth that took over a course of 3 hours. The deceased, it's my understanding, this happened in the initial moments of him exiting the vehicle and during the gunfight, if you will, the exchange of gunfire with the officers that were in pursuit. The exact location of where she was standing or at, I don't have for you at this moment. I do know that once she was injured, that officers effected a rescue of her to bring her out of the hot zone and to allow fire to start rendering aid.
Let me just make one correction too. I can't confirm whether she's alive at this point. I don't know. There's conflicting information. One thing I've learned from these is there's always a lot of things that are wrong. So I don't want to say that she is alive. I can't say that she has deceased either. Okay? The grandmother, excuse me.
So to be clear, this not the grandmother we're talking about. She's not the woman who shot.
So let me start this from the tally, if you will, from the chronology. The grandmother on 32nd Street suffered a number of gunshot wounds, I believe 7 at this point. She was transported in very grave condition to a local hospital. She's undergone a series of surgeries and is in critical condition as of the last update that we have. So she is certainly not out of the woods yet. There was a second woman at that scene on 32nd Street that was also injured by gunfire, we believe, and we believe by the gunman. And he took her, kidnapped her from the location in this vehicle that we were able to identify. The third victim of a gunshot wound occurred here at Trader Joe's at the termination of the pursuit. The suspect during the course of the pursuit was firing at officers. At the termination point, an officer involved shooting occurred between the gunman and our pursuing officers. It was in the aftermath of that he fled into the store. I'm not clear whether gunshots occurred inside the store, at the gunman's hand, between the gunman and our officers. Exactly how that went back and forth, it's very early. As you might expect, we have yet to interview those officers. We've been in the midst of a tactical scene to capture this suspect without any other loss of life. And so we have 3 gunshot wound victims: the grandmother, this second woman who had sustained a gunshot wound to the head, a grazing wound. She is in good condition, is expected to survive, and then unfortunately, and tragically, this third woman here at the scene that lost her life during today's ordeal.
And the fourth is the shooter himself.
I'm not.
We have no information.
I do not know at this point. The investigation cannot determine that. This is minutes after this has happened. We'll be releasing further information, including the suspect's identity, and as well as the information on the victims later into the evening and early morning.
Just another question or two. Did you say exactly at what time that the suspect was brought out?
It's 6:30 tonight. Shortly before the 3:30 is at a time in which the gunfire erupted here.
But
I'm not going into the background of the suspect at this point. Thank you very much.
40 people that were stuck. It's our understanding that 40 to 50 people were, after this went down, were locked in there. And then captured, hostage, or hiding. We don't know. You can guess that Trader Joe's on a Saturday afternoon was probably maybe over 100. We don't know. But we've had places where the folks who were able to get out, some people who were even in the parking lot, we had an area for them to assemble, as well as those that were coming out of the store separately.
Thanks a lot, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.